Here's Johnny!
Dear Netflix, why won't you quit doing awesome original content? Hey guys, hope you are going well. So today we are reviewing what has been dubbed the Hunger Games of Brazil. It is 3%. This is the first Netflix original content to be produced entirely in this South American country, which is seriously awesome. From the director César Charlone, who on a side note was the cinematographer on the Oscar-nominated City of God. If you haven't seen it, it's amazing, go see it. 3% is a dystopian thriller, slightly skewing on the young adult side, where the majority of the population lives in poverty-stricken conditions and only 3% are able to leave and go to the offshore and live in prosperity. But first, they must be deemed worthy by going through what is known as the process, which is kind of like a series of initiations and tests which weeds out all the bad apples, and you guessed it, only leaves 3% eligible to go live in paradise. While the show might be a little bit let down by some cringeworthy lo-fi computer effects, especially whenever they do wide shots establishing the city and buildings and that kind of thing, look, it makes up for it for really great characters and twisting storylines. Quickly, our core characters emerge from the hundreds of candidates applying to this year's process, and competitiveness to outdo each other and the forming of alliances makes for really interesting food for thought and how we treat each other and form relationships, but none of it is overcooked. I will say that there was nowhere near as much action as I would have expected from a genre like this. The tests the candidates all have to pass in order to move on to the next round were really interesting but relatively simple. I say relative because on the surface it is easy to compare this show to something like the Hunger Games, but here in 3% there's nobody grabbing weapons and having to fight each other to the death in a jungle cage. Here there are also large sections of episodes dedicated to flashbacks and previous events, getting to know the characters' backstories, and it just adds a whole lot more weight to it, which is great. You know, budget isn't everything when you have a good story, and I am more than willing to overlook like the derelict poor people's clothing that has rips very conveniently in all the right places that are a little bit too perfectly placed, or all the locations that look a little bit like empty office spaces or empty storage facilities. I am so happy to overlook all that production value if the story is solid. With only 8 episodes in total, if you are a fan of this kind of genre, 3% has enough twists and turns to make a very easy binge. I think I took 1 week or like 5 days to finish it, but trust me, I could have done that in much less. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. You can leave me comments in the comment section down below. Let me know if you're watching this show, if you're thinking about watching this show. I'd love to know. Don't forget, you can also subscribe to my channel and keep up to date with my other movie and TV reviews, and I will see you next time. Bye.